Hi, welcome to today's CAD tutorial. In today's lesson, we are going to design a functional and visually engaging project, tab and basin with animated water flow. Please consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't yet done that. Also, do well to like this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm push it to a lot more people. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns at the end of this video, kindly leave them in the comment section below and I would address them as soon as I can. Let's begin with today's activity. We'll begin to create the first part, that is the basin that collects the water. And so new up here, under part create 2D and 3D objects, we select the standard MMIPT and then we would create. We start by creating a 2D sketch, and so let's select that option up here. And then for this, we'll be working on the XY plane. We will then pick the sketch command and bring it to the origin. You know you are there when it turns green. Okay, so from the origin, draw a circle. The diameter of this circle is going to be 70 mm. Now press E. You can also finish the sketch, go to the 3D model tab and select extrude. But the shortcut of extrude is by typing the letter E. The distance of extrusion for this one will keep at 100. The profile has been correctly selected, the preview looks good, and so we would OK. What we want to do next is to shell this. So we get a thickness of 2 mm. For that, we use the shell command up here under the modify group. We have to select the face we want to remove, which is going to be this one, and specify the thickness of the shell, which is going to be 2, and we would press OK. Now let's apply some detailing, and so the fillet command, we want to apply a fillet of 1 mm to this edge and then the inner edge as well, and we click on the plus sign and also apply a fillet of 6 mm to this edge. We press OK. This part is ready, a very simple part, and so let's change the appearance. For this part, I'm going to choose the color foil gold. You can go ahead and save this part as the basin in any folder of your choice. Let's go on to create the second part. And so let's open a new worksheet for that. New, standard MMIPT, and then create. For this part also, we will begin with a 2D sketch, and we want to sketch this on the XY plane. Now we are going to create the pipe itself, and for that we will be using the sweep command. To create a sweep, you need to first draw the profile and then the path you want to sweep across. So let's draw the path first. I'll pick the line command. From the origin, I'm going to draw a vertical line. The length of this line is 20 mm. Okay, and then I'll draw another one perpendicular to that towards the right. The length of this is 90. Okay, now you can right click and press OK, and then we would apply a fillet. The fillet radius is going to be 15 to this line and that line, and then we can close this for now. You can go ahead and finish this sketch. Now let's create the profile we would be sweeping. For that, let's create a plane at this point perpendicular to this line. So on this plane, I would begin to create a sketch. I will pick the circle command. The circle is of diameter 20. I would press enter and finish the sketch. Now the path is done. The profile is also done. We can sweep. So the sweep command, the profile has been correctly selected. Since there is just one closed profile, we have to select the path, which is going to be this one. The preview looks good, and so we would OK. Let's hide this plane. We are done with its use, so you can just right click on it and turn off visibility. Now let's create that body that sits on top of this face. For that, we would have to introduce a plane. So we choose the option that says offset from plane, and we want to offset from, let's look at the plane we want to offset from, which is going to be the XZ plane. And so we click on that. The offset distance is going to be 40, and we would press OK. Now on this offsetted plane, let's create a sketch. We will pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle here. The diameter of this circle is 20, and so we press enter. We will apply a horizontal constraint between the midpoint of the circle we just drew and the origin. We will also dimension the distance between the origin and the center of the circle as 35, and that fully defines the sketch. So let's finish this sketch. We would want to extrude, and so the extrude command, we want to extrude up onto the surface. So let's flip the direction around, and we will choose the option that says to, and we will select the surface we want to extrude up to, which is going to be this one. The preview looks good, and so we would OK. Now let's also hide this plane. We are done with its use, so I'll just right click on it and turn off visibility. There is another extrusion that sits on top of the surface. Let's create that. And so I'll select this face and create a sketch. Let me pick the circle command again. Let me draw a circle from this point. The diameter of this circle is 25. I would press enter. Let me also apply a constraint. So the horizontal constraint between the midpoints of that circle we just drew and the origin would also dimension the distance from this point to the midpoint of that circle as 35. We could have just projected that plane to make our work easier, but that's fine. And to press E to extrude, the distance of extrusion is going to be 15. The direction of extrusion is right. The preview looks good, and so we would OK. This body is not solid as we see it. There is a hole in here and even one through here, as well as another one through to create the pathway for water to flow through. And so let's do that by using the shell command. Shell, we want to apply the shell to this face, that face, as well as this face. The thickness is going to be 2. We'll specify that, and then we would OK. Now we can even slice this in the next step to see what we have done. And so on the XY plane, we'll select that and then create a sketch. Now what we would want to do is to choose the option down here that says slice graphics. And so yes, there it is. This is what we created. Now let's go ahead and create a profile here. We would revolve to get the attachment onto a poly tank or whatever we would want to attach this pipe to. Now pick the line command and let's begin to draw this profile. And so we begin from here. We draw a horizontal line, and then we'll come down perpendicular to that. We'll move to the left perpendicular and then up again. You can right click and press OK. Okay, we need the line command again. Let's draw even a line that forms the axis of revolution. But this line, we will make it a constructional line. Let me zoom in. Okay, let's apply some dimensions. The length of this is going to be 3. And then the length of this also is 13. Let's press enter. Let's also project some geometries. We'll project this one. And then right click OK. Let's make this one and this edge even constructional so they don't get in the way of our revolution. And then we also want this line to sit on this one. We would apply the coincident constraint between this line and this point right here so it sits on it. We can continue to dimension. So an equal constraint between this line in this line, and then also this line and this one right here. We also want to apply a collinear constraint between this line and then this one. We will go back and pick the arc command. Let's draw an arc here. We can specify the radius of this arc as 15 and press enter. The sketch is fully defined. We can revolve. So we'll finish the sketch. Choose the revolve command. The profile has been correctly selected. We need to select the axis of revolution, which is the construction line we drew. So I'll select that. The preview looks good, and so we okay. This part is ready. We would proceed to change the appearance. And so we'll change the appearance of this to horned. This very one right here. Let's save this part as pipe body. We'll create the third part now, which is the pipe handle. And so we'll open a new worksheet. Part create 2D and 3D object, standard MMIPT. Like we've done so many times, we would create. I will pick the sketch command. We want to begin with a 2D sketch on the XZ plane. We pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle of diameter 19. We'll press enter. You can press E straight away to extrude. The profile has been correctly selected. The distance of extrusion is going to be 25. The direction is right, and so I would okay. Let me zoom in a little. Okay, so we want to create another 2D sketch on the, let's look for a plane to work on. The YZ plane will be fine, but we can't see our sketch, so let's slice. Alright, now you can pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle here. The diameter of this circle is 8 mm. We'll press enter and apply a vertical constraint between the center point of this circle and the origin. Would also dimension the distance from the center of this circle to this top edge as 8. That fully defines the sketch, and so I would finish this. We can extrude by pressing E. The extrusion should be symmetric. The distance of extrusion, we want that to be 55, and so I would okay. Now we want to pattern this, so let's just select that and then choose the pattern command up here, circular pattern. We want to pattern along the axis of this. The instances we want, let's just choose 4 of them. The feature, I think we haven't selected, so I will do that. The preview looks good, and so okay. Let's pick the 2D sketch command again. We want to create the circular feature on the edge of these handles, and we want to work on the YZ plane. Let me slice this so we see what we are doing. Okay, now we would pick the line command. Let's draw a line from this corner. The length of this line is 2.5. I would enter. I would also want to draw an arc from this point to hold down the left mouse button and just drag. Okay, this much is fine. You can right click OK. We will dimension this as 5. Actually 2.5 rather. We'll pick the line command. Let's draw a line here, making sure we locate the midpoint of that vertical line close to it. So there we go. And we'll drop this here. Okay, we can even connect this and that one. Right click and then OK. Now our sketch is fully defined, and so I would press R straight away to revolve. The axis of revolution, we'll choose this one. Okay, we see a preview of that. It looks good, and so I would okay. Alright, now we need this knob on the other 3 sides so we can pattern. We'll select that, or even circular pattern. The feature is going to be this one. The axis of revolution, we can choose this. We want 4 of them. specify that and press OK. I can also change the appearance of this to horn. Let's go ahead and save this part as the pipe handle. Now this part is done, and so let's open a new worksheet. Under part, create 2D and 3D objects like we've done so many times. Standard MMIPT create. Now we want to pick the 2D sketch command and sketch on the XY plane. Pick the line command. Let's draw a horizontal line from the origin to the right. The length of this line is 120. We would press enter. You can right click and then OK. Finish this sketch. And now we want to introduce a plane. So plane, we want it to be at this point with reference this line. On this plane, we want to create a sketch. We pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle of diameter 20. We will press enter and finish the sketch. Now what we want to do is to patch this circle, apply, and done. Let's now turn off the visibility of this plane and get into our parameters up here. We want to introduce a new parameter, so we'll add numeric. This one, we'll call it the drive underscore 01. Okay, you can click and check these two boxes and done. Now let's create a rectangular pattern of this, and we want to specify some details. And so for the direction 1, we want it to be this line. Let's open this up for more options. The direction 2 is going to be the direction 1. The start of direction 1 should be this point, and we want the spacing to be distance. This custom spacing, we want to choose the drive. If you don't find it here, just go to list parameters. You'll find it there. You would add that and press OK. Now let's turn off the visibility of this drive and get back into the parameters. We want to change the 1 mm to 0. That is where we want to start to drive from. And yes, we would click and done. From the rectangular pattern, let's open that up. We want to turn back on the visibility of that line. Now we would create a 2D sketch on this work plane. We will pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle. The diameter of this one is 16. We would press enter and finish the sketch. Now let's extrude that circle to a distance of 120 and press OK. Now what we want to do is to split. We want to split this one, and under faces, select this option. We want to choose the last one that says split the solid and keep the opposite side, and OK. Now let's get back in here. Solid bodies, we'll click. Under the solid body one, just click on that, right click. We want to change the properties of that to appearance blue glazing and OK. This is going to be the flow of water from the pipe. And so let's animate just this part to see what we've done. Get into the Environment tab, Inventor Studios. Let's add the drive. So under Parameter Favorites, we would select the drive and OK. Now it would appear here in the work tree under Animation Favorites Drive. So what we want to do is to now click on Parameters and OK. We want to animate that particular drive. It should start at 0 mm. The end should be 120. The start, which is the duration, will be the 0 second. We want the end also to be 2 seconds. And so we'll specify that and press OK. Now there we see we can animate this, but before that, let's select this option, animation options. We want to change the time here also to 2 seconds and press OK. You can take back the timer to start from the 0 second and play to see. We can do that one more time. That is awesome. Now let's go ahead and save this part as the water flow from pipe. I have one there named like that, so I'll just save this as 2. Now this part is ready. We'll go ahead to create the water that would also be rising from the basin as the water falls into it from the pipe. So let's open a new worksheet, standard MMIPT, create. We'll pick the 2D sketch command and draw the sketch on the XY plane. Let's pick the circle command and draw the diameter of the water. So this one is 16. We'll press enter. We'll finish the sketch and extrude that profile. The distance of extrusion is going to be 1, and so we would OK. Now let me apply a fillet of 0.5 to this edge, and I would press OK. Let me change the appearance of this, and so open up the solid bodies in the work tree. For solid 1, we would right click on that and choose properties. We would want to change this also to blue glazing, and then OK. Let me turn this. Okay, I'll turn it this way. Let me even use the cube to get it in a very good orientation. Now let me go to the functions. I'll change the option here, DO 16 mm. That is my diameter, so let me specify that. I'll also change the D1 to height. That is 1 mm. Okay, now let me check these boxes, first and second one, and press done. That will be it for this part, and so let me save it. I'll save it as water rising from basin. See. Let's start the assembly. And so let's get an assembly template. Under assembly, assemble 2D and 3D components, you select the standard MMIAM and create. Now we can place our first part, which is going to be the pipe body. Let me open this. I would rotate Y90 and just place it here and press escape. I always like to change the view and the visual style to shaded with edges. Now select this body, right click on it and ground it. Now we can bring in another part, so assembly tab, place. We want to bring in the pipe handle. I will open that and drop it right here and press escape. Now let me constrain. I want to apply a concentric relationship between this axis and that one. Let me apply that and close this. Now let me move this up so I can apply another constraint. And so constraint, I want to apply a constraint between this face and then that face. Let me apply that also. And then another constraint between their planes. So let me open up their planes. This constraint is going to be between the XY axis of the pipe body and the YZ plane of the pipe handle. It is going to be angled, a directed angle, and so I would apply and close this for now. That should introduce this angle you see here, angle 10 degrees. That is going to help in the opening of the pipe. Okay, so place, and then we want to bring in the basin. Let me open that, and then I would rotate Y90. I'll do that again, X90, sorry, and then another one and another one. Okay, so let me drop this right here. I would press escape and then constrain. So I want to apply a concentric relationship between this basin as well as the pipe tip. I would apply that. Let me close this for now and move this downwards. I would also apply another constraint between the inner side of the basin as well as the edge of this pipe. But I will set an offset distance of 120 to keep the basin a little bit far from the tip, just like that. I would apply and close this for now. Let's bring in another part. So please, this time we will bring in the water flow from the pipe. Let me open that and I would rotate Z90. I'll do that again and one more time. Let me place this here and press escape. Now, let me make this plane visible, which is the YZ plane. So I just click on that and turn on visibility. Okay, it's already turned on, so that is fine. I want to constrain now that plane, and this face of the pipe is supposed to be a flush. I would apply that. And then also another constraint is going to be between the center line of the pipe and the basin. So let me choose the mate and then the x-axis of the water from the pipe as well as the edge. I would apply that. Let me close this for now. Let's bring in the final part. Okay, so before we even do that, let's turn off the visibility of this plane. So I'll right click on that and turn off visibility and also suppress this. So place, the final part is the water rising from basin. I would rotate X90. I'll do that again and then one more time. Let me drop that here and press escape. Now let me constrain. Before that, I want to turn on the visibility of one of the planes, that of the XY plane. Right click, turn on visibility, and now we can constrain. So we want to apply a flash between this plane as well as this inner side of the basin. I would apply that, and then a mate between the, let's look for the right axis, the Z axis of the water rising from basin, and this axis we can apply. You should be getting this. Let's close this for now. For this flash, let's make the distance here 1.5. Enter. Okay, that's fine. Before we animate, let's take a minute to understand what we will be doing. And so we will be opening this tab to an angle of 90 degrees. That is going to take 2 seconds. And then the water will begin to flow for some time. The water in the basin will then begin to rise. And then we can close the tap. That is how this animation is going to go. So let's get back into our work and do that. Let's animate with Inventor Studios. And so environment, let's choose the Inventor Studio option. We'll go to the parameters favorite. We'll select the water from pipe as well as water rising from basin. Let's check the two and then OK. Now we will choose the animation timeline. Animation commands are not active. Okay, so just select OK for this one. Then that opens the timeline here for us. Let's create the first action, which is the opening of the tab anti-clockwise to 90 degrees. So let's find that angle. It is under the pipe handle, this particular angle. Let's click on that and we would constrain. So we want it to start at 0 degrees and then end at 90, negative 90 because we are opening. Now let's specify. We want that to start at the 0th second and we want it to end in 2 seconds. The duration then becomes 2. Let's OK. Let's even change the entire duration of this animation here. So animation options, We'll change this to just 10 seconds and then okay. Now we can open this app by clicking on this option. We have the first animation there, which is the opening of the tab. Now let's apply another animation, which will be the closing of the tab. So we can even copy this, click on that, right click, and then choose copy action. Click here, right click, and then let's paste that action. Let's even edit this. So I'll click on that, right click, and then choose edit option. So for the closing also, we want it to start at -90 and then end back at 0. We want that to happen from this 6.6 second and then it should end at the 8.6 second. That makes the duration also 2 minutes and so okay. We see it moves it to that particular time, which is here 6.6 to 8.6. This particular action will happen. Okay, so we can even play at this point to see what we have. Just take the timer back and then play. So the tab opens and then we've not placed the actions in between here yet, so that's fine. And then the tab would close. Okay, so that is what we have now. Let's take the timer back or even suppress this for now and place the next action, which is going to be the water flow from the pipe. So for this flash one, we want to now animate the last drops of water that will flow after the tap closes. So just click on this flash and we would constrain. For the start, it is going to be 0.00 mm and then the end will be -120. I'll type that. For the start, we want it to start at, let's specify the 8.1 minutes, second, sorry, and then it would end on the 10th second, which is going to take a duration of 1.9 seconds. And so I would okay. We can also play this action we just put in to see what we have. So take the timer back and then we would play. So the tab opens within the time specified. We've not put in any action here yet, so we won't see any animation. The tab closes and there it is. The flash disappears to a -120 millimeters. Now we can place the next action, which is the flow of water from the pipe. And so let's look for that here under animation favorites. Just open that up and that is the drive 01. So we'll click on that and then go to parameters and specify the start of this, which is going to be 0 mm. The end is the entire length of that drive, which is 120. We want it to start at the second, and so let me specify and type 2 here. It should end on the 4th second. That gives it a duration of 2 seconds, and so I would okay. Now it places that action there, and so I can even also play this to see. We take the timer back and then we would play. Tab opens and then the water drops. Okay, the tab closes and then there it is. All right, so we can place our next action. The next action is going to be what happens after the tab closes. So let's open up the timelines here. This very action we placed here, let's copy that and then we would paste it here. So we want to create a reverse of that action. Just right click on that and edit. So we want it to start at 120 and then end at 0. And we want to place that between the 8th second and the 10th second. I would okay. Okay, so let's suppress this and play to see what we have now. I hope you are beginning to understand the dynamics of what we are doing. We just place the timeline for the action we want to happen. So let's place the next one. which is going to be for the water rising from the basin. Let's open that up. For this flash, let's apply a constraint, which is going to start at 1.5 mm. The end is going to be 0. The start will give that. Let's click on specify first. The start is going to be the 4th second, and the end is going to be the 5th second. That gives it a duration of 1 second, and so I would OK. We can place the next action. So come to animation favorites. Let's open that up. For the diameter, we'll go to parameters, and then we would apply how we want that to happen. So the start is 16 mm, the end we want that to be 66, and then we want to specify the start of that, which is 5, and the end, which is the 7th second. That gives it a duration of 2 seconds, and so I would OK. This is how your timeline should appear, just in case it's becoming a bit confusing. Alright, so let me suppress this now and play so we see what we've done so far. We'll take the timer back and play from the beginning. Let me even turn this so we see what happens inside. The action we just placed was for the water to spread from a diameter of 16 mm to 66 mm, which is the inside diameter of the basin. I'll play that again. Awesome. Now let's place the next action, which is going to be the rise of the water in the basin. So we want an initial rise from 1 mm to 6 mm, and then we'll put another one from 6 to 70 mm. So let's place the first one, which is going to be the height, and we go to parameters. The start is 1 mm, it should end 6 mm. Let's specify the timelines. So the start of this is the 5th second. We want it to end on the 7th second, and I would OK. You can play this to see what that does. We would place the next one, and so we can just open up this timeline and copy that very action we just placed, which is this one. So I would copy action, and I want to place that right here, and then edit that action. So the start is 6 mm, which is fine. The end is 70, which is the actual height of the rise of the water. We want to specify the start of that to be the 7th second, and then it should end on the 9th second. The duration should be 2. That is fine, and so I would OK. We can play this. You take back the timer. Okay, let me suppress this so we get a good view, and I would play. Awesome. Okay, so that is it. We can even go to view and then choose the option that says clean screen, so we get the entire view for animation. What I also like to do most of the time is to change the appearance, but for this I think we'll just leave it, or even change it to realistic. That is fine. And for shadows, all shadows, reflections, let me turn that on. And let me change this also to perspective. Let's drag this. Okay, let's leave that here and play one last time. I'll take back the timer. Alright, and so that will be it for today's tutorial. I hope you learned a thing or two and you find this super helpful. If you do, please consider subscribing to this channel. Do well to like this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm push it to a lot more people. You can also share this with your CAD friends. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, kindly leave them down in the comment section below, and I would address them as soon as I can. Don't forget to save this work. I'll see you soon with the next tutorial. Bye.